this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the new sunflower and the center panel to make a beautiful sunflower design. I'm also going to use the sunflower leaves in this as well. So we're going to use this this is one set and this is a separate set together, but we're going to use them all together in one. So to start with, I'm going to take a piece of, this is the new bright or canary yellow Crafts 2 linen card, and this has been cut to A6. So I've cut a piece of A4 card in half. I then cut it again, so it's been cut at 5 3/4 and then at 4 1/8, and that gives us a perfect piece, just right to tape our die down to and to cut it out from. It's exactly the right size, and it means that we get all 12 of the individual sets of flowers out 4 times from a piece of A4 card. So we will run that through our die cutting machine, and I'm actually going to bring in now some pieces that I've already cut. So you will get 2 of each size of 6 sizes. So you'll get large, a sort of medium, a sort of smaller, and then you start to go to even smaller sizes. So we kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sizes, 2 of each, and all of those come from one A6 piece of card. So now we want to add a little bit of colour onto there. So I'm going to use the Craft Artist quick dry ink pads, and I'm going to use this time the apricot, which is a beautiful sort of bright sort of orangey colour, and I'm going to simply hold each petal up and flick colour on the edges of them. Really simple. Then put it down and scribble in the middle to give me that sort of classic sunflower of going orange out to yellow to a little bit of darker at the edge. So again, I'll just do 2 of these for this. So we're just going to colour each one and scribble in the middle. So we have 2 of the large. I'm going to do 2 medium because I want to show you 3 different ways to make the centre of these. So again, it's a simple thing. I'm using a finger dauber, so this is a Crafts 2 finger dauber, which is a really efficient, great way to add ink, and you don't get in such a mess. It's a lot easier to use. So there's our medium size, and I'm going to do this sort of second from bottom size. So lightly flick over, and orange in the middle. And don't worry if you don't see a lot of yellow. As we sort of shape these, we'll see a little bit more. So just flick that through, and we'll colour it in. So you would continue on and you would do all of them of the same size, but for speed I'm just going to do 3. So now I'm going to bring in a ball tool. So I'm just going to use a standard ball tool. This is a standard Crafts 2 one. We do, and I always sort of call this sort of size 5 and size 6. So I'm going to use size 5. And pop them down onto, again, Crafts 2 flower moulding foam. You need something that's very strong in your foam. You don't want a soft sort of mouse mat. You need something that's a little bit harder than that. And all we do is, if you look carefully, you'll see, if I bring this up to the camera, hopefully you can see, that you'll get a debossed circle in the centre of the sunflower. And that's great for adding glue and things in there. And it gives you a perfect circle, but it also gives you a line to emboss on. So all I'm going to do for this one is literally take the ball tool and just press on and run it around that circle a couple of times to make the sunflower sort of pop out. Really very, very simple. There we go. On all 6, very quick and easy to do. And then just simply take a little bit of glue. I'm using the Craft Artist Super Tacky glue. Offset. I'm going to add in another set of petals and another set of petals. Offset again. So I've used here the first 4 sizes, and I'm just going to hold it with my ball tool and bring those petals in. So I get a really full sunflower. Okay. Now I want to do a smaller one, so I'll bring in again. So I should have inked these before, but I'll bring in again. Just going to ink over these. And you can make these a different size each time, and when I bring some in that I've already made, you'll be able to see how you can play around with sizing. So again, I'm going to do exactly the same. If you notice, I've left the smaller two because we want to have some little sort of flowers in there as well. So I'm just going to ink those. And again, I think it's worth it sometimes for an aid memoir to do something twice. So we'll put them down and take our ball tool and we just press heavily down around that circle. And sort of, you're basically making a full stop almost, but it pops them up. So once again, we're just going to layer these 4. But this time we're going to do them into 2 twos. So as each sunflower gets bigger, we're changing it. So you can see there, we've got different sizes. So now we need to make the center. And for the center, you will have this die, which will cut you all these little slits in, and it will cut you this outside line. So we would take that, we would pop that onto, I'm using a piece of brown card. You can use brown, black, depending on what flower you want to do. You would cut that out and you will get this piece. So you get a piece, comes out, falls out with all the cut lines. So all we need to do for this one is literally just bend the card slightly and then fold it in half. Very easy to do. You don't need a deboss line to do that for you. And we just give that a good press down. If you want to, you can glue it. I've found that there isn't really a massive necessity to glue this one down, not for the larger strip. So then take some, and I'm going to use reverse tweezers as it's a lot easier, and I'm going to use Craft Artist glue glaze. This is a quick grab, high tack glue. It's almost like a solvent glue, and with this lip gloss container and applicator, it's a lot easier to glue down. So I'm going to go about halfway with that because it will dry before I get there. Take my tweezers and grab the end bit, and basically I'm just going to roll that round. Once you get to a certain point, you can pull your tweezers out and just do that manually. So I've run out of place for glue, so I'm just simply going to add a little bit more of the glue glaze on. Again, I would do this in 2 bits just to make sure, and when we get to the end, add a little bit of glue inside as well, just to seal that end on. And then it's simply a case of, as tightly or as loosely as you want to, just rolling it round. You can make full flowers out of this. You can also cut this out of felt, and it makes beautiful flowers in felt. So we'll just roll that round until we're happy it's sealed on. So get it nicely sealed at the bottom. And that's why I use the Craft Artist glue. I don't have to wait. So there I've got the perfect center. So all I would do then is add some wet glue to the middle of my sunflower and pop my center in. And we would leave that to dry for a couple of minutes. For the next sunflower down, I've done exactly the same, but this time I've cut the piece in half. So I've just got half a center. And I'm just going to add, again, this is only half, so I can get away with the glue glaze all the way down. And for speed, I did glue this together in the middle to make it easier. And again, your reverse tweezers makes it a lot easier because you're not having to hold them as you twist. And we simply roll that up all the way. Again, pop those out and just make sure that you hold that for a couple of seconds just to get it absolutely dry. And again, a little bit of a wet glue in the center, and we pop that one on. And obviously, this being a PVA glue, it will take a little time to dry, so you can leave them aside for a couple of minutes. For the smaller petals, smaller flowers, all I'm going to do for these is just add a little bit of wet glue in the middle. Again, I'm using the Craft Artist because it's a good glue that keeps its shape, as it's a lot of acrylic. But if you see, if you pump it in, it keeps to that circle that we've made. So it gives you a really nice, it sort of self-levels to a circular piece. So we'll bring in a scrap of card, and I'm going to use the Craft Artist pollen now to give these a centre, because you give it so much more realistic centre. And I'm going to use black because these will be a lot tighter. So take a little bit of black and we just pour that over. I'm using a little spoon here, tap it out, and once they're dry you can brush off the excess. So you'll see there's a little bit of excess around there, but once they're dry you can brush that off. Static will make it stick a little. But you see there we've got those beautiful little sunflowers there, or I think they make the most beautiful sort of black-eyed Susies. You can make some stunning Michaelmas daisies from these. There's a lot of different flowers you can make. So if I bring in some pieces that I've already made, you can see here I've got two large centres, one small centre, and then here I've got some of the mini ones with the blacks. These have already been allowed to dry. This one might have dried, so we'll try it. If it has, just press down and squish out that centre, and it gives you a far more rounded centre. So that did need a little bit longer to dry, and we then pull all of our petals up to give us that beautiful sunflower look. So here's one I did earlier and dried. So we're just pushing them out. You're almost squishing them with your fingers to give you a fuller, more circular sort of brown centre. So again, as I said earlier, you can take a soft brush once they're dry and brush off the excess pollen, which just gives you an absolutely perfect sort of little array of sunflowers. So I'm going to pop those to one side, and we will now do our leaves. So again, very simple. Cut an A6 piece of card and you'll find your die fits on exactly. So again, this is 5 3/4 A4 card cut to 5 3/4. Then it's cut down to 4 1/8, which gives you the right size for cutting your leaves. So again, we will run those through the die cutting machine. I have some pieces I've already been made here, so we'll swap inks. You'll see you'll get now exactly as sunflowers are. You'll get a large left and a right, a smaller left and a right. I think I'll nick the top off that one. And you will get a lot of separate individual leaves. So, and it's the best way to build them up. Now, again, I'm going to do a similar idea with the colouring. So this time I'm using Field Quick Dry ink from Craft Artist. And I'm just roughly flicking it on the edges just to give a little bit of definition. You can go anywhere you want to, but you can see there, just by doing that, we get a real nice sort of turn of colour. I've cut these in mid green, which is a lovely fresh green, which just seems perfect for that sort of summery autumnal sunflower. Add a little bit of green on, and we'll do one individual leaf again just to show you. And then all I'm going to do is to shape these again very simply. So I'm going to take, you can use your reverse tweezers or you can do standard long tweezers. Grab each leaf and fold the leaf over onto them, and it gives you a really quick and easy 3D look. So you can see there you get quite a 3D look just by making that fold. So it's very simple. With an individual leaf you do exactly the same again, always from the point end, and just fold it up and you get a beautiful leaf. So that's how we would actually create our leaves. I'm going to move these out of the way because again I've got some that I've already done. So we'll slide those in on this little piece of paper and we'll just now arrange these on a card. So I've got a card here that I've made just using one of the panels from the John Next Door window die. Stenciled a little brickwork in, we've put a little bit of sort of blue behind it to give a light, and a little bit of vellum for the glass. And to arrange them, I'm going to use a little bit of glue gel. So this is a glue gel. I'm using Pin Flare. You can use things like collal and woodware. There's quite a few that do this sort of glue gel. And I've got a cocktail stick here, which just helps me directional. So I'm just going to pop a little bit onto the back of each of the leaves. Again, so I get that nice 3D finish and it's clear. So I think we'll build up a tall sunflower. So I've taken one large. I'm now going to take one of the smaller ones. And again, the reason I like to use the clear gel is if it goes like this and it goes everywhere, it does dry clear. And it gives you that little bit more wriggle room and time. And I'm going to match that up again. So we've extended the length of that. I'm going to take, and then one of the other ones, and we'll perhaps not have this one quite so tall. So I'm just pressing a little bit of the glue gel out, using the cocktail stick to pop it. There we go, on each leaf. So I think, oh, no, we'll have that one there. And we'll have the final one shorter at the end. So again, probably don't need quite as much glue gel on this one. We'll just do a little bit. And again, you take a little bit more time at home. But we have a little arrangement. There we go. Let's stick you down. There we go. Of 3 of our sunflowers. So now I'm simply going to take my glue gel, add some to the back of my sunflowers. And again, I would have the really tall one there with a leaf popping out. I'd probably have, there's a mid-size one there. We might have a little one there. So we've got our 3 sunflowers almost in a row. And again, we can then take our individual leaves. Now to add these, I tend to take a little bit of craft artist glue, pop it down on my board and take some tweezers and just dip them in. So I'm going to add a few more little leaves interspersed, perhaps in with the petals, just to give it a little bit more, make it look a little bit more original. And perhaps that tree might be a little bit taller. Let's make him taller. And it's the adding of these leaves that to me really make a difference and actually make it that little bit more realistic, which is why I'll always tend to, if I can, include individual leaves with my dies. So there we can get one going over there. We might have another leaf popping to there, making that one a little bit taller. And again, let's have another one there, shall we? We can fill in and add little pieces wherever we feel. And again, I'm using a glue that will dry clear and matte, so it doesn't actually matter. Can add one more. I feel like this. One more big leaf coming from the bottom there underneath that. And again, we could then add, you know, lots of little sunflowers around somewhere else, but I quite like the idea of having just the 3 sunflowers going against the window. So